And I described a murder scene that the police said that I wouldn't know anything about. I described what she had on, where she was lying, she'd been thrown over a hedge. I described the murderer. I described that he had a tattoo on his right shoulder, a scar on his left hand, the number plate of the car, some of the numbers of the car, the colour of the car, that she knew him. And it just think of me like a mobile phone. When you get a good connection, you get a good connection. And so I described all of that. And then once I did win the competition, 9 months later, the murderer was caught. The tattoo on his shoulder, the scar on his hand, and it hit BBC News.
What? Like, that's wild. They had you solving missing person cases on the show? Like,
Yeah.
guys, welcome back. I have a banger of a conversation waiting for you right now. It is going to get super weird really quick, and I'm here for it. So I sit down with June Field, the Michael Jordan of all psychic mediums, and she was able to prove that accuracy and clarity of vision through beating out and being crowned best psychic medium on international TV. She beat out 70,000 other participants, other psychic mediums from around the world. All countries were welcomed, even the United States, and she beat out best and the brightest that we have here. And what is wild, what I cannot explain, is during this conversation, there's voices that are in the background that I can't explain. There's glitches that take place. Their cameras froze. It's wild. I can't explain it. It's never happened before. So if you're new here, make sure to hit subscribe. Make sure to leave a comment. I really want to know what your thoughts are on these things, on this phenomena. I know some of the skeptics are saying, oh, it's just your internet connection, but I think it's something deeper. Because after this interview, after watching this conversation, I guarantee you're going to question everything. I guarantee you're going to question what reality is. And I want to know what your thoughts are. I want to know what you believe this place to be. So without further ado, guys, here is my conversation with the great and the powerful June Field. June
Yes.
Field, how are you?
Great. Good to be on your podcast. How are you, Trey?
I'm I'm better now that I have the world's number one psychic medium joining me. June, this has
Yes, no
been
pressure then.
no pressure at all. Like I mean, I'm fascinated that you're number one. Like, you beat out 70,000 other psychics internationally and won the title of, let me get this right. International Battle of the Psychics. So you came in first place, beat 70,000 psychics worldwide. That's like incredible.
I know. I know, isn't it nice? It's nice. But you don't know when you're doing the competition, you're just working away at the competition. You don't realize, and then when you do win it, you think, oh my gosh, all of these people. But when you're taking part in it, you don't think of any of that. You
Yeah.
just continue working away.
What do they give a psychic medium as a trophy? Do they give you a trophy?
Yes, I did. I did get a trophy. It was a real bronze heavy thing that is like the apocalypse. It's the sun
the
and the moon
the apocalypse. Yeah, they would give you that.
apocalypse.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Maybe I would imagine it'd be like a broomstick or something. I don't know. Maybe they would give a
Oh,
psychic
I've
medium
already
that.
got lots of them. I don't need another one of them, that's for sure.
What did it feel like, right? To come in number one, beat out 70,000 psychic mediums all over the world. Like, what did that moment feel like?
Well, when we were actually working away, none of us actually saw the other psychic working because we were all segregated, mobile phones taken from us. We had to do a series of tasks. So nobody got to see each other working until the shows aired. And we were still working away on them. And then we were able to see how each other one worked. And I just knew that if I just kept working away, because I was a bit different, and it felt good to stand on the line with Ukraine, USA, Australia, and Scotland, and for them to read out that it was Scotland and taking 54% of the votes. That felt good.
Oh, wow. So this was the voting system was based like kind of like American Idol in that way, or was it judges?
Bit like that, bit like X Factor, American Idol, whereas everyone in the audience, well, during the actual show, each week you had a psychic of the week, and they also had a, not so good psychic of the week, so you're eliminated. Bit like that. And the judges, they voted for you. But
Hmm.
when it came to the final, it was the public that voted and they
Oh,
counted the
okay.
votes.
So when they read that vote, your name, when they said your name, like what did that feel like?
It felt good. It felt a bit surreal, but it felt good because they actually shouted out the name and they had it on a piece of paper and you turned it around and it was my photograph and it just said Shotlandia. So
Wow.
Scotland. Okay, so it was
Wow.
nice.
Sure. I'm sure that's a lot of validation too.
Yes, I suppose yes. No pressure then.
No pressure. No pressure, right? What were they having you guys do? Like what were some of the tests? Like, in American Idol, everyone has to sing, but a psychic
Well,
medium, like what were the tasks?
well, we did 3 tasks a week, and some of them were really quite harrowing. Um, Ones that you would never have encountered before. For instance, I had to describe a murderer, or you know, you would get a parent sitting opposite you, and they would be filming, and then you would be asked what happened to this girl, and you were given an object. And I just got a cine show of what happened to her, and I described a murder scene that the police said that I wouldn't know anything about. And I described what she had on, where she was lying. She'd been thrown over a hedge. I described the murderer. I described that he had a tattoo on his right shoulder, a scar on his left hand, the number plate of the car, some of the numbers of the car, the colour of the car, that she knew him. And it just think of me like a mobile phone. When you get a good connection, you get a good connection. And so I described all of that. And I hadn't won the competition by then, but there was tasks similar to that. And then once I did win the competition, 9 months later, the murderer was caught and he had the tattoo on his shoulder, the scar on his hand, and it hit BBC News and the number plate in the car and the way, she was killed. So it's just similar to
What?
that.
What? Like that's wild. They had you solving missing person cases on the show? Like
Yes, yes.
that
But
is
and as I say, it aired 9 months before he was caught. It aired to millions of viewers, and so there's no way that that could be misconstrued.
wow. Wow. Mm. So was every week based off like a murder case or was there any
No,
other
not every
tasks?
week based on. There were different tasks. There was, for instance, what happened to my husband or what happened to my daughter, or there was one of them that was really quite harrowing, though, Trey, and it was you held on to an object or you'd be sitting opposite parents and um, it was tasks that you wouldn't have in Britain, different tasks, some of them harrowing, and it was that I smelt burning flesh, and I was aware of all these dogs, and then I was aware of this young woman, and what had happened was that she had been murdered and she'd been cooked and eaten,
Wow.
and the gentleman was in prison for it in Ukraine. He had done it with a lot of women. That was quite harrowing. And the makeup artist, I have to say, that would put your makeup on for you while just before filming, she would always be getting me into trouble. She'd say, June, no cry. And I'm thinking, I can't help it. I'm holding on to all this information. And she'd go, don't cry, because she'd be having to sort my makeup out for on
Sure.
the camera. But they were all just very different. One of them, you had to describe DNA from just 4 pieces of equipment, and there was a bit of DNA in each one. And you had to describe who the DNA belonged to or what they were. Another one was similar to 6 chairs sitting the other way round, and you had to describe who was sitting in the chairs and what they all had in common, and you couldn't see them, so you had to link with spirit.
So how do you describe someone's DNA? Like they just have DNA samples sitting on the table and you're just kind of like
Yeah,
how does that information come to you?
it comes to me through links with spirit side. I wouldn't be able to pick up a bit of DNA and tell you with looking at it what it was. I just linked to spirit side connected to that substance, and they would give me information about who it belonged to. I described the individual. It's a man, you know, if he's got any illnesses, what's wrong with him, or if he's left-handed. And that was how I managed to get into the competition in the first place, because all of us had to, they would whittle it down, and then you had to hold on to a photograph and say who was alive and who had passed. And I said, well, this one's alive, but he's left-handed, and this one passed, but they passed with cancer, and this one's alive and has stomach issues. And they went, what? And it's because photographs are kind of my thing as well. And so that kind of catapulted me into a different level.
Wow. That's so wild that you
It's
can get
very,
that
very
information.
interesting.
Yes,
Absolutely
a hundred
interesting.
percent it is because, like, to me, how do you like have samples of DNA that, I'm sure they're all blind tests. No one knows which is which. And then you're just like, yeah, that's that guy's, that's that dude's. Like, yeah, that's hers. That's to me, that's so fascinating. Is that similar to remote viewing?
No, not really, because I am actually, it's not similar to remote viewing. Remote viewing would be holding onto an object or linking into something that would be far away from you. This is similar to just holding on to something, but the person is in the room, or you're describing an individual that's already there. So you've already got the connection of someone in the room. If I'm doing readings, I'm into everybody's energy in a
Mm.
room. I just head for the one that's the strongest, the brightest light or the loudest voice.
So can you see people's lights like when you walk into a room
Sometimes, if I'm
sometimes?
switched on, I don't go about all the time and then stop someone in the supermarket and go, "Oh, by the way." You just don't do
Sure.
that.
Yeah, that would be
But
tiresome. Yeah.
if you think about me like a mobile phone, depends what network you're on. If you're on the same network as me, EE, T-Mobile, all of these different ones. That depends on the strength of the signal that you get.
Mm. Have you ever remote viewed? Can you do that with your gift?
Yes, yes, I have. I remember someone got in touch with me and said, um, "We are running pools of for Las Vegas. Can we send you some stuff and can you tell us what's going to happen?" I went, I'm sure that's against the law. So no, that didn't happen. Nice try,
Yeah.
though. Nice try.
Well, your website says world's greatest psychic. So are you able to foresee events unfolding, or do you see multiple timelines? Do you see the most probabilistic timeline? What does that look like?
Well, sometimes I see events happening. Sometimes I get a feeling for them. Or one example was I was due to do a lot of shows and they were being promoted, demonstrations of mediumship. And it was just prior to COVID. And I remember phoning up my agent and saying, "This isn't good. This is not good. I don't get a good feeling about this. Cancel the promotion with mine because this is not going to go ahead." And he went, "Oh, June, it's just like the flu." And people, I said, "No, this is not going to be good. This is not good at all." And then he did get back in touch with me afterwards and say, "You were absolutely right. I just get feelings of this is going to be bad."
Mm,
Even, I scared the heck out of my accountant. I went, "This is bad. This is going to be really, really bad," because he's a good friend of mine. He went, "Oh, please don't say that." And I said, "It is. This is going to be bad." And it
wow.
was.
So how did you get that feeling? What did it feel like to you?
It felt like a feeling of dread. It felt like, that feeling that someone's just given you bad news, or like a fright, like just a feeling in the pit of your stomach that's just a feeling of dread and you can't shake it no matter what. And I've had these feelings off and on all of my life. And I remember early on, I remember saying to my mum when she was still here, "Mum, I've got this terrible feeling. It's just a feeling of dread. Something's going to happen. I don't know what it is, but something's going to happen." This is way early days. And so she went, "Oh, well, away you go and get yourself out." She says, "I'll do your ironing for you." So she's doing my ironing, and I went away and did a bit of shopping. And my mum had a heart attack that night. She was okay
Wow.
after it. And nurse just said, "Didn't you
What?
ever tell me that you've got a bad feeling again?" She said, "I said I
Wow.
couldn't tell you what it was, but I knew something was wrong." She went, "You and your bad feelings." So just
Yeah,
things happen.
right? Yeah, for sure. Like, now you have me nervous. Like, how are you feeling right now? Are you good? Like, you're not
I'm
feeling dread,
good.
are you?
I'm good. Because the minute it happens, Trey, the minute that something happens, like the minute the hospital phoned me in the middle of the night to say that my mum had had a heart attack, the feeling went. So I knew she was going to be okay.
Wow. So, so you don't see actual future like visions. You have an actual sense, like a
Sometimes.
sense in the body. Sometimes,
Some
um,
sometimes it depends if I'm in the right place at the right time to receive the signal.
signal. Where's that signal coming from?
It's coming probably from spirit side. Wherever anybody is, there's more. Have you heard of parallel universes? There's things that can go on, and you wonder. People say when you leave a room, does the clock still tick? That goes right over the top of my head. But parallel universes, there's things going on around you all the time. And sometimes you'll get people that will be out walking in the park, and then they catch a glimpse of maybe people in Victorian dress. They've just tuned into the right channel to receive a
Hmm.
signal. And it is about being in the right place at the right time.
Sure. Absolutely. Has that happened to you? Like, have you seen parallel universes while walking through the park?
No, that hasn't happened to me. If I was to let you see through my eyes for 10 minutes, I tell you, it would scare you. I see things. I was born
Well,
this way. This
well,
is
tell me what you see right now. That now you've got me wondering.
Well, I just see lots of lights and lots of people, and that's why my eyes always move around. I'm always aware of something around someone.
Do you see like the code in the Matrix movie where they have like the ones and zeros? Can you see the Matrix for what it is?
No, but I'll sometimes get a holographic effect starting to form, a bit like you could see when you're driving your car, the sun in the distance, and it creates that holographic haze. I sometimes see that around people. And when I see lots of lights gathering around people, that's never really a good thing. To me, that means that people have come to collect them, that they don't have much time left.
Hmm.
I do
Really?
remember being at a friend's, and an acquaintance of mine was leaving her house. And as she was leaving, I said to her, "How are you doing?" She went, "Oh, I'm good. She said, everything's good. I'm just going to visit my dad. I'm picking up my mum. My dad's in hospital. He's got a urine infection. He's fine. He's been in and out." And when she left, I turned to my friend and I went, "How dad's going to pass?" And she went, "What? What?" He's just got a urine infection. I went, and that was on the Sunday. And I said, "There's too many people gathering around him." And I got word on the Tuesday that he passed away.
Wow. That is amazing. Do you it's so many questions I have for you, June. Do you see not necessarily like human like energies? Do you see like non-human intelligences or what the pop culture is fascinated with right now are UAPs and that type of phenomena? Do you ever see any of that action?
No, I actually
No.
haven't, but I'm sure it exists. But I haven't personally seen it myself. No.
Sure. What mm, what has been your biggest takeaway from them? Like I I know for me that would for sure like disrupt my reality. But are these beings like sovereign in their own essence? Like, are they sovereign beings? Are they because when people pass, like, are they really just hanging out for eternity, like bothering their loved ones and trying to get their attention, or are they doing their own thing somewhere else? Does that make sense?
Well, it depends on the character of the individual and the relationship that they held with those that are on this side of life.
Hmm.
If somebody really didn't get on with everyone and was just ostracized or took himself away, he's not going to be bothering anyone. He's just going to be glad to be somewhere else. But my feel of this whole thing is that this is a schoolroom for us. This is not our home. We're here to learn. We're in physical bodies to learn lessons and we've decided what it is that we think we want to learn before we even get here. And so, you know, characters are characters. If somebody was loud and leery in their physical life, they're still going to be loud and charismatic and
Really, I've always wondered that whether if it's like if reincarnation is a real thing. Um,
oh, we're not
is
talking
it
about reincarnation. We're talking about links with those that are on the other side of life that have supposedly died, vacated the physical body, but their essence, their consciousness, their soul is still alive. They are still the same individuals, even after passing. The only thing that's passed on is their physical body. They
sure?
have
Well, I
the
mean, in
physical body does.
transmigration, when transmigration is reincarnation, I was thinking in regards as the persona stays with that person in death, and does it, I guess, accompany that spirit into the next life, or is it just karma that's kind of transferred as that memory, because like I feel like this is Trey, but then again, it's also like the formula of Trey that has actually been written throughout my entire life. So is it really Trey, or is it just the programs and conditioning from every event and every choice in my life? When I leave here, will I still feel like that sense of Trey? And then if I decide to come back and reincarnate into a different entity or being or human, will that piece of Trey reside with that life?
I think that Trey is always Trey, because you will still have the same relationships, even although after death, of people that you love, people that you miss, people that you have been a part of their life. You're still you. You just don't have the physical body. And you will have decided what it is that you would have wanted to learn and why you've come here. And you either get it right or you get it wrong. And if you get it wrong, that's why they say only the good die young, okay? All of us are hanging around here because we veer off of the bit that we wanted to get, and we'll veer that way off. Let's go back this way, and then eventually we get to what we decided we wanted to learn when we came here.
Hmm.
And so you will always still be you. You will gain experiences in life, and that's when you have the physical part of your life, whereas you have all the trinkets and baubles and house and car and maybe a nice watch and lovely clothes. I mean, these are nothing because you don't take them with you. All you take with you and which you retain with you is the experiences that you learned on this side of life, and they will stay with you forever. And my perception of what happens over there is that you can progress spiritually, and it's not compulsory to be reincarnated. You can do that if you want to do it to progress. And so you will each go up a step of the ladder. And then once you've decided, okay, well, I think I'll go back and learn this. And then that will put you up another step of the ladder. But
Have you
it's not,
seen
I
the
don't,
steps of the ladder? Have you seen
no,
what the
no,
progression rate looks like?
no, I haven't. But it's just with doing spiritual readings for people. I've been doing this for a long time, and with talking to those from the other side and interacting with them and passing that on to, I tried to describe their character, the way that they were. If someone was coming in for a reading, my first protocol would be, oh my goodness, so like, for instance, I've got a man here, and boy, was he grumpy in his life. And he didn't just like everyone. And he would say, speak to the hand. I'm not even going to talk to you. You know, that, or somebody who was loving. It's not all, oh, we've got someone here and they love you and whatever. Some people are just the same. And I try to describe their characters so they obviously still retain their characteristics because that's the way that they were, and people recognize them
Hmm.
as who they were. Or if somebody sang, I can hear them singing. I go, oh my gosh, they've got a good voice. Or they'll, all of these are traits that are physical traits. So if they're relaying them to me, they still are the same people.
Sure. Have you ever experienced a conversation with like maybe a spiritual master or someone?
I do remember when I was much younger and trying to get this under control, because it did scare me a little bit at the start because I would always see people and things, and I just needed to get a handle on it. And I was getting there, and there was a lovely lady called Jenny Brown, and she was like a spiritual teacher. She took me under her wing, and I remember being in her house. And she would take me every week, and then every other week I'd be at a church development circle teaching. And she had this beautiful antique table that you couldn't possibly lift. It was just huge. And I remember sitting there, and she went into trance, and the table started to bounce up and down on the floor. And of course, my eyes were like saucers. And that then a gentleman's voice came out and spoke to me, and through her. And that was, he called me little one. So I presume, and I'm hoping as well, that that was someone who was really well evolved, because they told me things that were going to happen, which have happened. And bearing in mind that was a lot of years ago, and he said, this lady will not see you progress as far as you will progress, and you will be working all over the world, and you'll achieve something and help a lot of people. And of course, when you are just working through things, and it was many years ago, you're like, yeah, yeah, okay then. But it did happen. So that was a very evolved soul. And although the voice was calm, when the table started to just move up and down, um, you couldn't even lift it. And all she said to him afterwards was, "Stop that because you're spilling water on my table because you had a jug of water and two glasses." It didn't faze her at all.
Sure. Well, I feel like if you're doing that constantly, you're kind of desensitized to the weird effects that that can draw in. Maybe the different, different effects on material or a chair or whatever, right? I feel like if you're doing that constantly, was that the first time she's experienced that? Like, or is that something that
No,
she does
she'd done it
regularly?
before, but she hadn't done it before in front of me, and it wasn't directed at me. So that was definitely an experience. That was my first experience with that. And I thought, oh my goodness, I've seen a lot of things since then, but that was the first
Was
one.
that the
And
weirdest thing you've seen?
no, no,
No.
I've seen a lot of weird things um in
What's the
life.
weirdest thing that you've seen, or the wildest thing?
Um, the wildest, weirdest thing I've seen was doing a walk around for a castle in Scotland and watching lights and things form and people walking out of walls and interactions with people and babies screaming and laughing, etc. Because it's very haunted here. But the weirdest thing that really freaked me out was when I was teaching at the Arthur Conan Doyle Centre in Edinburgh. And it's quite a reputable place to teach. And a lot of mediums have taught there. James Van Praag's been there, Lisa Williams, and once a year I would always teach there. I would do a weekend. One night I would do a demonstration of mediumship, and over the weekend I would do a 2-day course. People would travel from Europe, etc. And I, you stay in that building yourself. The medium stays in that whole big building yourself. Now it's 4 flights high and it's got a basement. And I remember one of the administrators saying to me, "They've had the Psychical Research Institute in." And I went, "What?" Before I've come in, because it's like poking the bear with a stick. Okay.
Yeah.
And I went, "I'm not happy about that." So I said to a student of mine, I said, "Are you coming on my course?" She'd all would come on my course every year. I'd known her for years. She went, "Yes." I said, "Have you booked accommodation?" She went, "No." I said, "Would you like to stay in the medium's flat with me?" I said, "But remember, it's going to be active because they've been doing stuff in here." And she went, "No problem." So she brought a sleeping bag and she slept on the sofa in the living room. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, the fire alarm went off for the first time ever in that building. Never on the 8 years that it had been open had it gone
Mhm.
off. And you could read about this in a book written by the chairperson of that, and it was called The Vortex. All of these mediums have written their stories. And so I said, "We need to go out the flat," and I knew that there wasn't a fire. They just wanted us out of that flat.
Mhm.
So she pulled on our jeans, etc., and we went out. The flat was inside the building, just as called it the medium's flat. And the minute we walked into the corridor, we were just surrounded, and she wanted to run down the stairs. And I said to her, "Sam, don't run, we're just walking." And it had the red lighting in their emergency lighting, and we're switching all the lights as we went down the stairs, these 3 flights, and they were surrounding us. It was not a good feeling, it was not pleasant. And we got to the bottom, and they had this big, huge alarm panel with all these different numbers on it and a number you phoned. So we phoned the number and said, "Look, the alarm's going off." He says, "Which zone is it?" And I said, "It's zone number 3." And he said, "That's the basement. Go down to the..." I says, "Like hell I will." I said, "I'm not going down to the basement." I said, "You need to switch that off
Wow.
and reset it. And if there is a fire, then it'll go off again." And so we went back upstairs into the flat, made a cup of tea, 3 in the morning by this time. And we're sitting, and then it's like somebody was pushing on the door to get in. We were the only ones in the building. And I went, "It's okay, we're safe in here," until we watched the bin lid swing back and forward in the flat right next to us. And that's when I just lost it. And I went, "That is it, that has to stop, and you need to leave," etc. And
Ooh.
I never ever stayed in that building again.
Wow. So I feel like the misconception is that mediums and psychic mediums are like shouldn't be scared or
Yeah,
are
but if
so
I
used
tell
to
you
this
this,
type of
Trey, if the
phenomenon.
medium runs, just run behind her.
Right? Like I'm gonna follow you. Like if you're if yeah, 100%.
But remember, there's good and bad in this world as there is in the next. You know, there are not so much evolved souls, but something that could be, and it depends what door is opened. And I know there was a lot of activity in that centre that people would open doors, whether not like Ouija boards, but something similar, and they wouldn't close them. The minute you open a door to spirit, you take your chances about who comes in.
Mm. So is there, and this may seem so naive and ignorant, but like the good and the evil here, right? Like I feel like there's a spectrum, and like depending upon what frequency you're at, like you're going to experience more of that. Like if you're calling in these types of energies, that you're going to
Yep,
experience that essentially.
exactly. You've got it. The chances of me being stabbed by a drug addict at 3 in the morning in the centre of town is nil, because you wouldn't get me in the centre of town at that time in the morning. Okay, so if you dabble in such things, then you have to take the negativity. If you have no control over it and you open doors, because there's good and bad, as I say, in each side, and
Mhm.
you could interact with the darker planes.
Well, how do you fight off the dark, right? Like, because I feel like the go-to for a lot of people is like Jesus. Like they'll have a cross or holy water or something. Like, I feel like when you watch the ghost shows, on Discovery or whatever channel it is, like they're all like invoking the power of Jesus. Or I never hear them say Buddha or anyone else of the masters. It's always just Jesus, and like Jesus's name, I revoke thee or something like that. Like, how
I
do
don't
they teach you like to
see.
get
You
rid of
don't.
those energies?
They don't. Nobody's taught me anything. You just know when something feels good and something feels bad. And you just don't dabble with anything. I've never played with a Ouija board. I've never dabbled in anything. I've never deliberately stayed overnight in a haunted house to try and evoke something. It's just not something I would want to do. And nobody teaches you how to differentiate between what's good or what's bad. You just feel it. And if you feel something's bad, you just withdraw from it or back off from it, or just say to them, that's enough. I've had enough. Stop. You need to back off. And you don't need to be religious for that. People don't have to be religious and evoke Jesus or whatever. I'm not up on exorcisms. I don't know anything about any of that. This is the way I was born. This is the way that I was. I've tuned into the channels, so to speak, and I've always had this. And I've been really, really lucky in my life that I haven't really, touching wood here, touching wood, that I haven't really experienced bad, 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 evil, evil, because I don't dabble in it.
Sure. Well, I mean, I don't know. I think there's a big fear associated with these subjects, right? Because I don't know why. Why is there such a huge fear associated with someone speaking to a past loved one?
I don't know why that would be, because I'm not up on the fear that they would have about someone speaking to a past loved one. Um,
Well, I
Somebody
think there's
that's,
a fear with like maybe she's lying to me. Like maybe she's telling maybe this is the work of the devil, like this is the darkness. Like, but I've heard these arguments, and like how can it be the work of the devil if what you're saying is helping that person deal with the loss of that loved one, right?
that's correct. That's correct. Um, that is correct. Some people, think that it is, that you're a demon, or everyone, each to their own. And if that's the case, don't dabble in it. Don't come looking for someone like me. Um,
Mhm.
I'm
What
not,
about
I'm not, I'm not up an expert on why they think that way and what they think. I don't. My job, I do healing. I do clairvoyance. I bring people forward that are already there, because when I link with someone that's come in and sat down next to me, I don't I link with them. I plug myself into them as if I'm plugging myself into a piece of electricity.
Really?
And the
How do you
minute
plug it?
that
Like, how do you plug into how do you plug into them?
just I just talk to them. I can hear their voice, I can see them, and I can feel their energy. So I get a feel for who the individual is. And then once I know who the individual is, I get a feel for their character, what they're like. I can describe a person's character just after sitting with them for 5 minutes. And then once I'm plugged into them, I become aware of who is with them or who's around them. And so they bring these people in themselves. I don't go and get these people. I'm already, because they're connected to the loved one, I just then start to pick up the loved one and what they're like.
Do you think you're able to plug into someone because we are essentially all individuated units of consciousness, or we're all consciousness? So that way it makes sense to me, if you're going to look at it from a quantum physics perspective, that you're able to maybe entangle with that individual because you are a part of that network.
Absolutely. It's the same as anybody can learn to play the piano as long as they've got fingers. You won't all be concert pianists, but you can learn to knock out your favourite tune.
Well, how did you beat out 70,000? Like 70,000
I
psychic
don't know, Trey.
mediums. Like, how
I
did you
don't
fine
know.
tune that muscle? Like I
I,
get
I
practicing, but
I didn't fine tune it for a competition. I was invited in the competition, and all I did was take part in the competition, not knowing what the other mediums worked like. And I just did what I always did before the competition, and that's the way that I've always worked. And it just happened that it was a bit specific. And Uri Geller, I don't know if you know who Uri Geller is. Do you
Mhm.
know who he is? Well, he said he'd
Yep.
never seen a psychic so specific.
Wow.
So it just depends on how you connect and you tune in. Again, like if you think of us all like televisions, we've all got the same number of channels, but not everyone's is all tuned in. But you can sharpen it and tune them in, but you can't make a singer out of somebody that's tone deaf. You know, you just can't. You either have it or you don't have it, but you can still learn to knock out a tune or to do something, but you won't be top of your game.
Mhm. Do you think there's a difference, like, physiologically, like, in your brain compared to my, like, dodo bird brain? Like, do you think there's a difference in the receiver? Like
Well, they do say it was going to Stansted, Arthur Findlay College. They did say that left-handers and musical people make the best mediums. Now, that was what they said, and I'm a left-hander, and I also play the piano and sing. So, and I'm musical. So perhaps that's a feature of it, that it is the other side of the brain. But then you think about it this way, Trey. Anyone that's maybe had a trauma happen in their life, because it does happen, whether or not it's an accident and they're physically hurt, whether or not they've died on the operating table and come back, whether or not they have had a real trauma emotionally with a family member, or they've had a grief or a loss, it seems to flick a switch in some people's brain, and then they're able to hear and see like psychic mediums.
mhm.
And it's just been that trauma. So everyone must have the capability of doing that. It's just a matter of finding your key, how to switch it on.
Wow, that's so crazy. Um, I wonder what it is, like, with the trauma. Like, is it the disassociation part where people have to take their consciousness out of their bodies in order for them to not, I wouldn't say necessarily maybe survive, but like to not experience that trauma? Is that what unlocks that and is the key for that? Like, as soon as they're just in this life or death, fight or flight situation, and it's like, I'm out. So I just peace
Could
out.
be.
I'm gone.
It could be, but I must admit, I'm not up on that. I don't know the workings of it. I don't know
Sure.
why it happens or how it happens. I know that it has happened, that people have gone through something, and then before you know, they're seeing people, or they're able to determine what happens in the future. They just seem to have been able to tune into that frequency or that channel. Something has clicked or something has flicked on that is just giving them that ability.
Mm. How do you see the people that aren't really there? Are they like holograms? Are they like actual
What do
like
you mean, not really there? Of course they're
you
there.
know what I mean, June, for the muggle like me, the guy that can't see
You're
the
far from a
matrix.
muggle. You are far from a muggle, mister. Um,
I don't have the ability to see the code within the walls, but for me,
no. What
who doesn't have the fun that you do, like, do you see them as like, what is it, translucent, or what is that, like a hologram,
again,
like?
again, depends the signal, depends the strength of the signal that you have with the energy that you're connecting to. Sometimes I can see them as clear and as sharp as you. I remember stopping a demonstration once in a church because I waited till the individual came in. I thought he was late, and he was actually a vicar, and he had a collar on, and didn't realize that he wasn't there until he walked through people. So I could see them as sharp and as clear as you. If it's not such a great signal, sometimes you get an essence of them and you just hear them and they fade in and out. Sometimes you'll just get head and shoulders, or sometimes they'll just fade in and out. But it really depends. And it also depends on the character of the individual. If somebody's really quite shy or doesn't like confrontation, they'll kind of back off. But if someone is, it's like, how long is a piece of string? And people will say to me, how long does it take for somebody to come forward after they've passed? I've brought people forward before their funerals. Some people, and it really depends on how strong the signal is and how determined they are to get through to prove to their loved ones, hey, look, I'm okay, I'm all right.
Mm.
It just depends. And it also depends on how they passed, if it was traumatic or if it was, an illness they'd had for a long time, or suicides take a little bit longer to come forward because of the trauma of it, or somebody that's passed quite quickly. It's how long is a piece of string?
Does everyone attend their own funeral?
Probably, yes, nearly everyone, but only the ones I know, that the ones that I've interacted with have, but I can't speak for everybody because I haven't read for everyone.
Sure. What have they revealed to you about the other side? Like, is it layered over there? I mean, obviously, these are just human terms and symbols for something I cannot explain, the unexplainable. But have they given you like a description? Is it like stages? Is it like, all right, the new guys come in, freshly dead, come to this spot, and then they kind of get used to being dead, and then they evolve, and they have to give them a job, or because all the books that I've read, right, like the out of body experiencers tell me there's belief systems, and when you pass away from this plane, depending upon your belief system, like that's where you'll go. So if you're a hardcore Christian, you'll go to this Christian world. If you're hardcore Buddhist, you'll go to this Buddhist world, and vice versa. So like, have they ever given you like an insider look of like, hey, prepare for this?
So I did ask a few times in maybe deep meditation, etc. And they would say to me things like, there are even more colours than you can ever imagine on this side. So you can't comprehend that. How can you comprehend another colour? You can't. And so they don't really explain what it is, but I know from my interaction and my perceptions of doing this that there are different levels. There are the lower planes, and then they progress. Mother Teresa and Hitler are over there, but they're not in the same area. Um, so they go to different levels, and there is progression for every soul if they wanted it. I do remember a gentleman who's passed away now, unfortunately, but he was a psychic medium. His name was Colin Fry. Many people will have heard of him. He died of lung cancer, but he had what you would call a gentleman that came forward, a guide, if you would like to call it that, from spirit side, whose name was Magnus. And Magnus was a murderer when he was on this side of life. So, in order to progress, because he'd made the wrong choices, he was helping Colin with his work.
Hmm, that's interesting. Is there judgment when you pass away?
I believe that you judge yourself, just the way that life flashes past you. That's when people say that, oh gosh, my whole life flashes past. And it's the same when someone loses someone on this side of life, somebody dies. The first thing that they go to is, oh my God, I remember 5 years ago I said that awful thing to them and I shouldn't have done it. There's the different bits of there's guilt, there's anger, there's all the different stages of grief. And you think to yourself, what, why would you've got 100 million great memories, but you go to these few where you think, oh my God, I really hurt them and I was wrong and that was 10 years ago. I think that's the same as when they go over there. They review their life and think, and I do feel that some of them that I've interacted with that have come back and have said, my goodness, I didn't realize how my actions were hurting you like a domino effect, but I can see the full view of what's happened now and I apologize, or I'm putting out an olive branch. I didn't realize.
That's so powerful. That's so powerful. Have you heard a near-death experience that was exactly what you have experienced in like your readings or what the past loved ones have told you about the other side?
I've never had a near-death experience
No, I'm saying, have you ever heard one,
or
like
heard one.
someone, yeah, have you heard
Um,
of anyone that you can mention that their near-death experience is exactly like what they describe on the other side?
Yes, some of them, yes. It's, that some of them say that they see the bright light and they head towards the light and they see their loved ones. But those that are dying, most of them that I've interacted with are fearful at the start. It's an inbuilt thing to us to hang on to life, to keep breathing, to hang on to this. And so the people do hang on until they catch a glimpse of a loved one that's waiting for them. Because my belief is that, and this is with interacting with people, that when the door to this life starts to close, the door to the next starts to open. And for a short period of time, you can see both sides. You can see those that you love that are here, your family, your daughters, your son, etc. And you can also get a glimpse of those that you've had to say goodbye to. And so, that makes it harder for those when people are present at a passing to let go because they feel that they've got to hang on to life because they've got these people that are depending on them and they're saying, oh my goodness. And so that's why people say, oh, I missed the passing, or I was sitting vigilant with someone for 7 or 8 days and I nipped out for 2 minutes to speak to the doctor and the person passed. No, you didn't miss the passing. They couldn't make the choice. And they waited until they didn't have to make the choice to stay with you or to go because they were done. So it settles them down, okay? And they then realize, my goodness, there is another side. I had to say goodbye to these people at some point in my life, and you're there. And so
Mm,
that settles them down and takes away any fear that they have.
sure. So I have to ask you a weird question.
Well,
This
they've
is
all been weird, Trey. They've all been weird.
yeah, what's normal, really? I mean, who says what is normal? I've been reading a lot of Gnosticism recently, a lot of spiritual, not I guess like early Christian cult literature, just trying to figure out some techniques or protocols or ancient secret wisdom that I may not have been privy to, being religious in the first part of this life. So I wanted to know, like, what is it that the Gnostics were talking about? And of course, they have the creation story by the demiurge and all of that. And I've also opened up conversations to people that believe this is a soul trap. And any information on that would be greatly appreciated. Have they ever said anything about this is Earth is a trap for souls?
No, I haven't interacted in that at all. And I'm not an expert on that. I'm a psychic medium. I'm not a physicist. I'm not an expert on all of that and all the demonic things that are going on and good and bad and evil. I can only give you it from my perception, and that is the way that I've interacted with them, the way that I've led my life, and how it's transpired that, yeah, I did win a title because I do my work and it's to help people, and I do a lot of healing for people also. So no, I'm not an expert on that, Trey, and I wouldn't even like to open it up because I don't know.
Sure. Well, I think that's what I like about you so much, right? I think having an open mind Really, instead of saying this is the truth, this is the actual way that it is. When people start doing that to me, like, all right, that you lose all credibility essentially, because like, how do you really know? Like, you're human, you're still a human having this
Yeah, I
experience,
get
and
it.
so does that make sense? Like, can
Yeah,
anyone
you
know exactly
can
what it
only
is? It's
give
a
you
mystery.
I can only give you my perception of what I've experienced in life and how I've worked and how I've interacted with those on the other side of life and how and me personally, and I've done readings today also because this is daytime here,
Hmm.
and it's you know bringing people forward by describing them and then they'll tell you something that they couldn't possibly know, like you've got a tattoo on your thigh, it's got my name on it, you got it in memory of me and it didn't turn out right, or you clean my gravestone with a blue cloth, and things like that. My job is to prove the existence that people don't die, that the consciousness, the soul, the character, the individual, the love, the bond, whatever it is, still lives on and that they are okay. And that's my interaction, not soul trap, that they'll be waiting for them. And that is what I believe.
Sure. Next time you talk to someone, ask them like what is the genesis story of the human being. I'm always so fascinated with that. Like, just how is it that we live on this planet and there's so many animals, so many different species, and we're the only ones that basically can stand up and walk around and have conversations and develop technology, and you know, um, I'm just
Yeah,
so fascinated by that.
but but you're looking at it from your point of life as a human being. You know, those animals, etc. Maybe they don't come up to your standard. That they might be thinking the same about. Look at all of them making all these wrong
Yeah.
choices in the world.
Yes, I'm aware of it. I actually think they're the spiritual masters, and we're the ones that are on that.
Unconditional love is what
Yes,
you get from animals, whereas with people, it's like you give me this and I'll give you that, and if you do that, all they want is love. And you could, how long again is a piece of string? You could go on about people that are spiritual and people that are not spiritual, people that are compassionate and people that have no compassion. I mean, how does that work as well?
yeah.
It's
No, I agree.
everything is totally different. And I think that people should live their life by their own standards. And if somebody does something really nasty or wrong, two wrongs to me don't make a right. Just withdraw.
Sure. No, I'm so fascinated to your point about the like dolphins. Like, I'm not really a big dolphin guy. I don't know anything about it. I know they're intelligent beings. I am a dog guy though, and I can tell you the stories that I have with my dogs that have shown unconditional love and just showing up in the moment and like really just being present and giving
Absolutely.
you that love, right? So I mean, like, that's why we're just different, because I don't think we have the capacity to show up unconditionally every time, like every minute of the day. You go for a week, you're gone for a week, your dog shows up unconditionally loving you. You're gone for 15
Yeah.
minutes, same thing. Me, like, I've just been conditioned and programmed since birth, to receive love a certain way, to give love in certain conditions, and it's the human aspect. So like that fascinates me, and even also like the spiritual literature fascinates me, because it's like we want to go back 2000 years to hear the truth, but who says that's the truth? Like, it could
But
be. Go ahead,
but
June.
you
I know I'm.
I know I'm anxious. But you know that you think about, yeah, you've been programmed and conditioned to give love, to accept love, etc. But when you were just little, you knew what was right and what was wrong, even without anybody telling you it. If you were going to be to do something, you knew that was wrong, even though you hadn't done it before, or interactions with people. So where does that come from? That's not being conditioned.
Mhm. It's just you're more the awareness, right? Like, you're more of.
Absolutely. You're more open. You're
Yeah.
more aware of the consciousness or the soul or the being that you are. You've got these traits, and even you wouldn't want to say something to hurt someone. Nobody's explained to you all about, oh, don't say this because that would hurt someone. You just pick it up, and not all of that's been conditioned. You just know. For instance, if a child was being abused, even at a very young age, they know that that's wrong, and they wouldn't tell anyone about it because they know that um, in a lot of cases they wouldn't. They just know that it's wrong, and so they keep it to themselves. No one's
Hmm.
conditioned them about that. Where does that come from? That has to come from some sort of consciousness or soul of interaction. So it's not all like we're programmed and conditioned. We're individuals, all of us. Otherwise, we'd be clones of each other.
Sure. I mean, we're all the summation of every experience we've ever had here, and
Absolutely.
there's not to go down philosophy, but there's a huge difference between ethics and virtue. But I think moving forward, what I really want to hear from you now is,
The
I'm very
lottery
curious.
numbers.
Yes, I do actually. What are the lottery
I
numbers?
don't have
What's
them.
the next? What's the next cryptocurrency that's gonna? Is XRP finally gonna hit $10,000? Like, is that
I
really
have
gonna
no
happen?
idea.
Ah, where is? Have you gotten anything on mankind and humanity and politics?
Yes, not willing to discuss any of that because the politics, mankind, the world is just absolutely nuts at this particular time. And you don't need to be a psychic or a medium to know that.
Do you think we transcend it all? Like, do you think we finally get to this place where we are one with Earth and each
Yeah, I
other?
do. I think that that's the goal. Yes, I think that that is that we come from a huge conscious light, and that when we go home, we just join that again. We're all part of one another.
Hmm. Like you and I are just sharing the same network. Like we have different vessels. Like we are vessels for this consciousness, and we're different because of our experiences. But at the most basic level, we are just that one singularity of awareness that is having an experience, right? Like, I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, I suppose that's one way of putting it, yes. Not that I've ever thought that deeply about it. I just accept who I am and I just go with the flow. My feeling in life is that I think that we are here to touch as many people as we possibly can to make a difference. And again, you talked about, foundations that people would build on, and that's why they end up being different to everyone else. It depends on how you're brought up. But if you're just an ordinary person that just goes to the corner shop every day and buys a newspaper and just goes home with it, you're not going to evolve. But if you make a difference, whether it be to an animal, whether it be to a person, whether it be that they can remember you and they can think, gosh, thank you very much for that, that makes a difference in life. And that's the
Mm,
only thing that you take with you. You don't take your trinkets and baubles, you just take that with you.
it's beautiful. I love that. That's a great perspective. I definitely hold that close to the chest. I'm curious, like, what did the experience on the show when you won? Like, how did that change your life?
Um, it put a lot more pressure on me
Really?
because then when people interact with you, when you're just doing your work as normal, but when somebody says, oh, well, you're the world's greatest psychic, let's see what you've got, that puts pressure on you, doesn't it?
Oh, for sure. I can only imagine, right? Like me walking through this life, I don't have that pressure. But for someone like you who has won this and was in the public eye and beat 70,000 psychics, like you get made in a coffee shop and they're looking at you, they're like, all right, let's see. What do you got?
Yeah,
And I can
absolutely.
see how that can be, frustrating.
Absolutely. So that is the main thing that does it, puts pressure on you. The better you are, the more pressure that you put under.
So
The
are you
more
like the Michael Jordan of psychic mediums, I guess? Does that make sense? Can I say that?
I don't have his size of feet, that's for sure. I don't know, Trey. I,
That
I
is
I do
awesome.
I do my work the best that I can. I don't ever do readings all day, every day. I do readings just at the weekends because I like to get it right. It's not about quantity, it's about quality to me. And I don't ever go next. People are people. Each one is an individual, and I try to help that individual. And that's the way that I've always lived my life, to get it right.
Mm. Do you, I'm assuming, I don't want to project this, but do you also feel like their pain when they come and see you? When they're
Absolutely.
like, how do you
Absolutely.
protect yourself and how do you get rid of that?
Well, you just have to. I remember when I was first doing this and learning how to connect and learning how to switch it off more than anything, because I already had it, and I couldn't control it. I had to learn how to switch it off. And I remember that Jenny Brown individual teacher, my bottom lip would start to go when I'd interact with somebody, and she'd go, "Get rid of that. You've got to be like the surgeon. If something's wrong, you can't lose it. You have to tell them this. You can't lose it. You can't go to somebody, oh my God, you're not going to live very long. That's not going to do it. You
Mhm.
have to be strong and just give the facts, give the information. And more often than not, most people do cry with me. And I just carry on. I say, I'm just going to carry on if that's okay. And so that they have their pain. But some of the things I see in my mind's eye about how people have passed, etc., and I relate to them just as evidence, that does stay with you. And I need time to recharge from that, because you couldn't do it all day, every day, not if you were truly in touch with spirit, because it would have an impact emotionally.
Mm.
So
How's it evolved your spirituality?
I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think you're a saint already. I mean, you've put up with me for almost an hour. So, I mean, I feel like you're already on that trajectory. But I mean, if you were to look back on your life and just see all your experiences, like, spiritually, like, how has it evolved you?
Oh well, I'm just the same as everybody else. I'm not saying that I'm anything special. I've just tuned into that channel, and yeah, I haven't gotten things all right in my whole life. There's things I've done that just the same as everybody else, and thought, yeah, I shouldn't have done that, or I shouldn't have done this. But now I think very carefully, because even when you just put out a statement or you throw a word at someone, once it's out there, it's out there. It's already hurt. And then that changes the whole perspective, because even although you say sorry, you shouldn't have put it out there in the first place. So I'm quite careful about what I do or what I say, because I know it could have a domino effect. So suppose that's evolving, in a sense that I'm careful. Two wrongs don't make a right. That's always
Sure.
my impression.
I can't see you with a temper though, June. I don't know if I don't believe it that you have a temper.
I don't. I used to um, fight karate. I did karate
What?
for since 15. I'm third dan Shotokan
Really?
karate. Yep. And
Wow. I did not know
so,
that.
yeah, well, I did. I fought all over the world, karate wise.
That's
I'm older
awesome.
now. I can still hit
But
someone, but I
still, I'm
think
not
I need a
messing with you.
chiropractor to put me back. Yeah, but
June, I love having I don't know, all the things. I love having all the things with you. You're just such a beautiful soul. I feel like
thank you.
reconnecting with you or connecting with you. Never having a conversation with you before. I feel like I've missed out on a lot of great opportunities to ask you spiritual
Oh,
questions. But I love the way that you approach life and your authenticity and transparency. I think a lot, if someone, if someone were to beat out 70,000 other psychic mediums and be the number one psychic medium in the world and have that title, like, I feel like they would be, sometimes egocentric, like more egocentric than most because of that, what that carries, that weight, that authority. And I find that you're just so down
normal.
to earth and
I'm just
normal, right?
normal because I'm just a person, and when people meet me, I'm just the same with everyone, and I've interacted with many people. I've been very lucky to interact with many people, from politicians to Hollywood actresses to royal family and I talk to them just exactly the same as I'm talking to you.
Yeah, you
There's
give
not,
them the business when they need it.
I've given them, there's no difference with me. And a fact is that ego and awareness don't coerce.
Mm,
I have no ego. I have no ego. If I'm able to help, I'll help. And that's what it is. And irrespective of having this big title that just puts pressure on you, the minute that I'm standing on a stage waiting to go on, I say to myself, "Oh, bloody hell, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And then I step out, and then, you know, people are there, and I try to lift the energy up. It's not all doom and gloom. It's lifting up an energy. Even I remember the guy, stage guy coming back, sound guy coming back during the interval, and he said to me, "Right, are you ready?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Did you kill a white rabbit?" And he looked horrified, and he went, "Abs Absolutely not." And I thought, well, somebody did. So when I got on the stage, I went, "Who killed the white rabbit?" And up goes the little hand. And then and it had killed it accidentally because they had a disposable barbecue that they put it on the hutch, and that didn't work well. And then I went round other people, and I said to one woman, "Did you kill a tortoise?" She said, "I thought it was dead. It was hibernating. I threw it on the bonfire." So these things, you wouldn't know these things. So you've got to wait until that information comes in. So you're standing there. It's not like you're able to prepare something like a song or lines or rehearsals. I can't rehearse anything. I've just got to go up there with the trust and just open the door. But I have no ego because these people haven't come to see me. They've come to connect with their loved ones, and I'm just the conduit and the tool for that.
Conduit. I love that. So, you say there's no ego. Like, can you walk throughout your day and not be the ego?
Sorry, say that again, Trey.
Can you
I'm sorry.
walk? You're good. Can you walk throughout? Do you only lose the ego when you're doing that work, or can you walk throughout your day and everyday reality, without the ego?
Absolutely. I'm just I'm just a normal person. I'm able to tune into a channel and to help people, and I'm privileged to do that. I'm very privileged every day to do that.
Mm,
And without the help from those on spirit side of life, I couldn't do that on my own. I work as part of a team. And I am privileged to connect those that have lost loved ones with their loved ones. And that makes me feel happy that they come in to see me in one way and they leave in another way.
sure, 100%. I love that. Who's on your spirit team? You got like some crazy amazing guides. What do you got? Who you got?
I don't have Sitting Bull or anything like that. There's nobody, and John Wayne or anything like that. And Elvis Presley's not there either. I have Oriental individuals. I have 4 Orientals. I don't know their names, never ever have, but I can tell which one's interacting with me because I'm good with illnesses. I can tell. So I know that there were something to do with either doctors or surgeons or something at some way.
Oh, that's awesome. June, you are a treat. You are a national treasure. Thank you
My
so much
pleasure.
for taking the time.
It's good to interact with you. It's good.
Any closing words for the listeners and watchers of this show?
Thank God it's over. The pressure's off.
June, I love it. Where can people find you?
Just type in June
Just
Field
type
or
in June Field.
yeah.
She's all over the place. Thank you, June. I love this.
Thank you. Thank you very much for asking me, Trey. I really enjoyed it. It's been good.